The deep silence of space broke with a sudden burst of activity aboard the GCS Sentinel. Red lights flashed across the command deck as Captain Reed's antenna twitched nervously. The tall, insect-like alien captain had served the Galactic Council for 20 years, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for this moment. Signal confirmed. Captain reported First Officer Green, her translucent fingers dancing across the holographic controls. It's an automated distress beacon coming from Sector 7. Reed clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. Sector 7, that's supposed to be empty space. No authorized colonies out there. The message played again. This time clearer, the voice that came through spoke in standard galactic, but with an unusual accent that none of the crew had heard before. This is research vessel Starlight. We have encountered a massive fleet moving through our research sector. They're from Earth. The Deathworlders have ships, hundreds of them. We didn't even know they had. Achieved space flight. Please someone warn the council. The message ended with static. The command deck fell silent, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's engines. Earth Reed whispered the name, sent shivers down his carabase. Every species in the galaxy knew about Earth, the notorious Class 12 Deathwork world that the council had marked as too dangerous to approach. Its gravity was crushing its atmosphere, corrosive, its surface ravaged by extreme weather, and its oceans filled with deadly chemicals like dihydrogen monoxide. Get me Council Command. Red ordered. Priority 1, alert within moments. The ship's main screen lit up with the face of Council Director Brown, his crystalline features reflecting the emergency lights. Captain Reed explained this. Priority 1, the director demanded. Director, we've intercepted a distress call. The Deathworlders, the humans, they're not contained anymore. They have ships afleet. The director's crystalline form clouded with concern. Impossible. Earth was classified as pre-space flight. Our last survey showed them barely reaching their moon. The message is authentic, sir, and there's more. Reed transmitted the sensor data. We're picking up warp signatures, many of them all with energy readings we've never seen before. They're using technology adapted to their world's extreme conditions. Director Brown's face darkened. A species that evolved on a world with such crushing gravity, such extreme temperatures their ships would be built to withstand. Conditions that would tear our vessels apart. Red finished. And sir, they're not just exploring. This is a fleet. Military vessels by the size and formation. The director was quiet for a long moment. How did we miss this? We should have detected their technological advancement. First Officer Green spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. Sir, our monitoring stations, they're all placed in what we consider safe zones if the humans developed their technology in areas we deem too dangerous to monitor. They built an entire civilization in our blind spots, the director realized, because we were too afraid to look closely at their death. World new alerts flashed across the Sentinel screens. More ships were detecting the fleet now, reports flooded in from across the sector. The human vessels were massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed the largest council ships. Their hulls were made of alloys that shouldn't exist, designed to survive pressures that would crush normal spacecraft. Director Reed said, his voice steady despite his fear. What are your orders? Track them, do not engage. I'm calling an emergency council session. The director's image flickered. And Captain, if you encounter them directly, do not provoke them. We have no idea what weapons. A Deathworld species might have developed. The transmission ended, leaving the crew of the Sentinel in tense silence through the ship's view report. Reed watched the distant stars, wondering what kind of creatures could master space travel while living on a world that should have killed them. First Officer Green pulled up more sensor data. Captain, the fleet's trajectory. They're heading toward the Spal arm colonies. Ree felt his heart stink. Millions of citizens lived in those colonies. None of them evolved to withstand anything close to Earth's conditions. If the Deathworlders had hostile intentions, send word to all council ships in the sector, he ordered, and pray we haven't just witnessed the beginning of a war. We cannot win the Sentinels. Engines hummed as it changed course, following the distant fleet of ships that no one had believed possible. Somewhere out there, the Deathworlders were on the move, and the galaxy was about to change forever. The Grand Council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from 100 worlds talked all at once, their voices rising in fear and confusion. The massive circular room, usually a place of calm debate, now buzzed with panic. Director Brown stood at the center platform, his crystalline form Glowing with stress patterns order, we must have order beside him. Delegate Wilson sat quietly. As the only human in the council chamber, he found the situation both amusing and concerning. The council had accepted him 6 months ago as a cultural observer, never suspecting that humanity had already spread across dozens of star systems. The reports are clear. Director Brown continued his voice, cutting through the noise. The human fleet consists of over 300 vessels, each larger than our biggest. Ships. A hologram appeared above the chamber floor, showing the massive human ships. Their dark hulls were marked with red and white stripes, the colors of Earth's most common warning signs, these V-Vels. Brown pointed to the largest ships appear to be equipped with technology that defies our understanding. They're using their planet's heavy metals, materials we considered too dense to be practical in space. The delegate from the gas world Nebula 7 floated forward, their cloud form shimmering. With anxiety, how did they build such ships? The energy required to lift those materials from their crushing gravity. That's what we considered impossible. Brown agreed, but we forgot something crucial. When you evolve on a world with crushing gravity, you don't think of it as crushing, you think of it as normal. Wilson cleared his throat. All eyes turned to him, some curious, others fearful. He stood up, his movements careful in the chamber's low gravity. If I may speak, he said calmly, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, a reptilian delegate hissed. Your fleet approaches our colonies. Wilson nodded. Yes, but not for the reasons you think. Those aren't warships you're seeing. They're rescue vessels. The chamber erupted again, Director. Brown raised his crystalline arms for silence, explained Delegate Wilson, while you watched us from a distance. Afraid of our death world, we were watching you till we saw things you missed, signs of coming disasters. Failed. Stars dying, which here's Wilson's voice. Grew serious. We built our fleet not to destroy, but to save. He touched a control panel and new images appeared. The inside of the human ship showed vast chambers filled with environmental systems, hydroponic farms, and living quarters designed to accommodate multiple species. These aren't weapons. Wilson continued, their arcs built to withstand any environment because we never know what conditions we face, powered by engines strong enough to escape Earth's gravity, because sometimes evacuations must happen quickly. The council members stared at the images where they had expected to see weapons. They saw survival systems where they had feared to find conquest. They found rescue equipment, but why, asked the Nebula 7 delegate, why would Deathworlders care about saving others? Wilson smiled sadly, because we know what it means to fight for survival every day. Earth taught us that lesson. Our gravity crushes, our weather kills, our predators hunt, but we survived, and we decided that no other species should have to face extinction. When we have the power to help, Director Brown studied the new data carefully. These ships, they're heading toward the spiral arm because 3 stars in that region will go nova within the next year. Wilson finished, your sensors haven't detected it yet because you don't use our heavy element detection systems. We've been preparing for this evacuation for months. The chamber fell silent. The council members looked at each other, then at the fleet images, seeing them with new eyes. We called Earth a death world, Brown said quietly. We thought it would produce monsters instead. Instead, Wilson said it produced survivors who understand the value of life. Now shall we discuss how to coordinate? The evacuation time is short, and there are millions of lives to save. The council chamber, which moments ago had buzzed with fear, now filled with a different kind of energy. Hope. The Deathworlders were coming not as conquerors, but as saviors, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Jake Stone stood on the bridge of the Earthship Hope, watching as the council's diplomatic vessel approached at near 2 km long. The Hope dwarfed the alien ship, making it look like a toy in comparison. He smiled, remembering how Earth's engineers had laughed when told their ships were impossibly large. Council representatives requesting permission to dock reported. Officer Bell from her station, they seem nervous about our artificial gravity. Tell them it's set to their standards, Stone said. No need to scare them with Earth normal conditions. The council delegation consisted of 5 members each from a different species. They entered the Hope's meeting room with careful steps, their eyes wide as they took in the massive chamber. Director Brown led the group, his crystalline form reflecting the room's lights. Welcome aboard the Hope, Stone said, keeping his voice. Gentle years of first contact experience had taught him how intimidating humans could seem to other species. Would you like to see what a rescue ship looks like? The aliens followed him through the ship's corridor. Stone noticed how they kept looking. Up at the high ceilings designed to accommodate the tallest species they might need to rescue. This is our main evacuation center, Stone explained as they entered a vast chamber. We can house up to 50 0 refugees here with separate environmental zones for different atmospheric needs. The delegate from Nebula 7 floated closer to a massive environmental control unit. This technology. Ology, it's beyond anything we have necessity, Stone said simply. On Earth, we have zones where temperature changes 60 degrees in a single day. We had to master environmental control just to build cities in our more extreme regions. He led them to another section where rows of huge machines line the walls. These are our matter replicators. They can produce food suitable for any known species. We learned about your biology by studying the worlds you abandoned, the ones you considered too harsh to colonize. Director Brown's crystalline surface flickered with emotion. Those worlds, we thought them uninhabitable to your species. Yes. Stone nodded, but Earth is what you call uninhabitable. We learned to adapt. These machines can create food and supplies for any environment because we had to learn how to survive. Anywhere they reached the ship's heart, the central control room screens showed hundreds of worlds, each marked with different colors and symbols. This is our mission, Stone explained, pointing to a cluster of red markers. Those 3 stars will go. Nova, soon. We've been tracking them for years. The purple markers show safe zones. We've prepared planets. We've already started terraforming to house refugees. Terraforming, one of the delegates gasped. But that technology is theoretical. IAL Stone smiled. Not for us. When you come from a death world, you learn how to make hostile environments livable. We've been doing it on Earth for centuries, turning deserts green, making the Arctic habitable, cleaning polluted zones. He brought up another display, showing the fleet's formation. Each ship has a specific role. The outer vessels are scanning for hazards. We're used to watching for deadly threats. The inner ships carry different types of environments and supplies. The large ones in the middle, like the Hope, are designed to evacuate entire cities at once. The delegates stared at the display, their fear slowly turning to wonder. Director Brown turned to Stone, his crystalline form glowing softly. We spent centuries avoiding Earth, thinking it would produce only warriors and destroyers, he said quietly. We never imagined that surviving a harsh world would make value life more. Stone finished. The funny thing about coming from a death world is that you learn quickly. Those who focus only on fighting don't survive. Those who learn to adapt, to protect, to save others, they're the ones who thrive. A signal flashed on the main screen, more council ships approaching, but this time they weren't coming to investigate a threat, they were coming to learn, to help, to join in the largest rescue mission the galaxy had ever seen. Now Stone said, his voice firm but kind. Shall we talk about how to save millions of lives? Because that's what Deathworlders do best. We survive and we help others survive too. The delegates looked at each other, then back at the human commander. In his steady gaze, they saw not the terror they had feared, but the strength they needed. The Deathworlders had come not to end lives, but to save them. The emergency alarms blared. Across every ship in the fleet on the Hope's bridge, Commander Stone watched in horror as the nearest star's reading spiked dangerously on his screens. It's happening faster than we predicted, Officer Bell reported, her fingers flying over the controls. The star's core is collapsing. Now we have hours, not days. The council ships nearby seemed frozen in panic. Their sensors had finally detected what the human fleet had been warning about: the imminent death of a star system home to millions. Send the evacuation signal. Stone ordered all ships' emergency protocols. This is not a drill. The massive human fleet moved with practiced precision. Years of drilling for disasters on Earth had prepared them for this moment. The rescue ships spread out in a wide pattern, each taking responsibility for different planets and colonies in the system on the Council's command. Manip Director Brown watched in amazement. Their ships are entering the atmosphere. The heat and pressure should tear them apart. But the human vessels, built to withstand Earth's crushing gravity and violent storms, push through the atmospheric conditions. With these, what the Council saw as extreme, the humans treated as routine. First wave of EVU incoming, Bell announced. The H's massive doors open, revealing huge transport ships rising from the planet's surface filled with frightened civilians. Stone activated the ship-wide communication system. "This is Commander Stone to all decks, prepare for emergency intake. Remember your training. These people have never experienced a disaster on this scale. Stay calm, stay focused." The first refugees arrived in a rush of scared faces and trembling bodies. Council species of all types, crystalline beings, gas forms, multimedal creatures poured into the Hope's reception areas. Human crew members looking like giants next to most of the aliens guided them efficiently to their designated environments. Commander, a junior officer, called out, "We have a problem in Section 7. The environmental systems can't handle the lodestone." Was about to respond when an alarm blared. The star's collapse was accelerating through the view screen. He could see the first signs of the coming supernova, massive solar flares, and waves of radiation that made the Council shields flicker. "Redirect power from the gravity system." Stone ordered. "We can handle Earth normal gravity. Use that energy for the environmental controls." The human crew moved with practiced ease. As the artificial gravity increased to Earth normal levels, to them it felt like coming home. The sea observers on the bridge, however, found themselves barely able to stand. How do you function?" Like this, Director Brown asked his crystalline form, straining under the pressure. "This is what made us strong," Stone replied, moving quickly to adjust the gravity in the refugee areas. "This is why we can save them." The evacuation continued at a frantic pace. Human ships dove into the atmosphere again and again, their hulls glowing. Red hot from the entry, but holding firm, each trip brought more refugees to safety. Star reaching critical mass. Bell shouted, "Final countdown beginning." Stowe grabbed the command channel. "All ships break atmosphere." Now emergency thrust authorized. The human fleet's engines roared to life with power that shocked the Council observers. Engines built to escape Earth's gravity well lifted. The massage ships clear of the dying stars pull within these behind them. The star began its final collapse. The human fleet formed a protective wall between the explosion and the Council ships. Their reinforced hulls designed to withstand forces that would tear normal spacecraft apart. Radiation shields at maximum. Stone ordered, "Protect the Council vessels." The star exploded in a blast of light and energy. The human ships held firm, their earth-forged hulls taking the brunt of the ship shockwave. When the light faded, every refugee ship, every Council vessel, every single EVU was safe in the aftermath. Director Brown turned to Stone. "How many?" he asked quietly. "Everyone," Stone replied with a tired smile. "We got everyone out. That's what Earth taught us." "No. One gets left behind, not on our watch." The Council ships gathered around the human fleet, no longer in fear, but in gratitude. They had witnessed firsthand why being from a death world wasn't a curse. It was preparation for saving lives in a dangerous universe. Captain Mary Thompson stood in the control room of the Earthship Guardian, watching her display light up with new rescue assignments. After the successful evacuation of the first star system, the human fleet had split up to handle the remaining two dying stars. Team leaders report in. She called over the ship's communication system. Her vessel, specially designed for the most dangerous rescue operations, carried the best emergency response crews in the fleet. Engineering ready came. The first response heavy lift systems at full power. Medical bay prepared. Another voice added. All species specific treatment pods activated. Environmental control standing by. A third crew member reported, "We can match any atmosphere needed." The guard approached its target, a mining colony trapped in the growing gravity well of a failing star. The colony's own ships, designed for simple cargo transport, couldn't break free of the increasing Pole Council ships, holding position at safe distance. Officer West reported from his station, "They're still afraid to get too close." Thompson nodded. The Council vessels, while advanced in many ways, weren't built to handle these kinds of conditions. Their crews watched in amazement as the Guardian pushed through gravitational forces that should have crushed normal spacecraft. Launch rescue pods. Thompson ordered the Guardian sides open, releasing dozens of smaller craft. Each pod was piloted by a human crew member, their bodies naturally adapted to handle high G maneuvers that would knock other species unconscious. The pods dove toward the colony, their hulls glowing as they cut through the intense heat around the dying star on her screen. Thompson watched their progress, remembering her training days on Earth. The crushing gravity they felt now was nothing compared to the emergency drills they'd run in Jupiter's atmosphere. First group of miners secured a pod, pilot reported, but their environmental suits are failing the heats. Too much, bring them straight to Medical. Thompson commanded. Will do atmosphere matching in the emergency base hour after hour. The pods made their runs. The Guardians' crew worked tirelessly, their earthborn bodies able to handle the strain far better. Then their alien guests. What the Council saw as superhuman endurance, the humans knew simply as another day's work in the medical bay. Dr. Harris treated dozens of different species, each affected differently by the stress of evacuation. His team had studied alien biology for years, preparing for exactly this kind of crisis. Their bodies aren't built for these forces, he reported to Thompson, but they're stabilizing in our treatment pods. Earth's medical technology is keeping them alive. Sudden alarm blared through the ship. Captain West called out, "The stars field is intensifying. We got minutes, not hours." Thompson grabbed the ship wide. "See all pods return immediately. Emergency Protocol 7, this is not a drill." The rescue pod streaked. Back to the Guardian, their engines pushing to maximum as the last pod docked. Thompson felt the ship shudder. Under the stars. Growing power, all hands brace for emergency burn, she ordered. Divert all power to engines. The Guardian's massive engines. Built to escape Earth's gravity, well roared to life, a ship pulled away from the dying star with raw power that amazed the watching Council vessels. Medical status, Thompson called, all EVU secure. Dr. Harris responded, "The pods are handling the G-forces. We've got them as they reach safe distance." Thompson watched the colony they just emptied disappear into the stars. Growing brightness, not a single life lost. Every miner, every worker, every living being rescued on the Council command ship. Alien leaders watched in silence. They saw how the humans moved through lethal conditions without fear, how they pushed their technology to limits the Council had fought impossible, how they risked their own lives to save others. Captain Thompson. Director Brown's voice came through the comm. "Your ship just survived conditions that our scientists said would destroy any vessel." How Thompson smiled as she looked at her tired but proud crew director on Earth. "We have a saying, the most dangerous path often leads to the greatest rescue. We built these ships because we refused to believe that any conditions were too harsh, any rescue too difficult. That's what growing up on a Deathworlder teaches you. There's always a way to save lives if you're strong enough to try." The Guardian turned to join the rest of the fleet, its hull bearing new scars from the rescue, but its crew and passengers safe in the ship's medical bay. Aliens from a dozen worlds rested securely protected by the very same conditions that had made Earth so deadly to them. The Deathworlders had proven once again that their greatest strength wasn't their ability to survive, it was their determination to help others do the same. The Great Hall of the Hope buzzed with activity. Refugees from 3-star systems filled the massive chamber, each group in their own environmental bubble. In the center, Council members gathered for an emergency meeting with the human fleet commanders. Commander Stone watched. His Captain Thompson finished her rescue report. The holograms above showed the successful evacuation numbers: 3 million beings saved, 12 worlds. Evacuated, 0 lives lost. Impossible, muttered one of the Council scientists, a tall, thin alien with glowing spots along its sides. The energy needed for such operations, the physical stress on the ships and crews, that's what we keep hearing, Stone said with a gentle smile. Impossible, yet here we are. Director Brown stepped forward, his crystalline form reflecting. The light of 1,000 different environmental systems working together in the hall. We need to understand not just how you did this, but why. Stone nodded to Officer Bell, who brought up new images. They showed Earth, but not the deadly frightening world. The Council knew these images showed cities under the sea, colonies in the burning desert, floating towns in the sky. This is how we live on Earth. Stone explained every habitat you see here was built because we had to solve a problem too hot. We built cooling systems too cold. We made heat generators too much pressure. We designed stronger walls. The images change, showing human rescue operations on Earth. People diving into raging floods, climbing into burning buildings, descending into collapsed mines when your whole world tries to kill you. Stone continued. You learn 2 things. First, how to survive. But more importantly, you learn that survival means nothing if you don't help others survive too. Captain Thompson stepped up, adding, To the explanation, those rescue ships you saw, they're not new. We've been building them for centuries, testing them in Earth's oceans, in our Arctic zones, in our deepest caves. Every impossible thing we did out there, we learned by saving lives. At home, the council members watched as more images appeared. Human ships helping alien colonies long before First Contact secret rescues of stranded ships, quiet evacuations of failing outposts, that distress signal that started all this, Stone said. Quietly, we sent it ourselves through that research ship you found because we knew you wouldn't believe us if we just showed up offering help. Director Brown's surface rippled with surprise. You engineered our first contact, we had to, Thompson explained. Your fear of our world of us meant you wouldn't trust us, but we couldn't wait any longer. Not with 3 stars about to go nova. The images changed again, showing a galaxy map, dozens of points lit up marking human rescue stations disguised as abandoned. Outposts, hidden fleets waiting to help, secret supply lines ready to activate. What you saw as aggressive expansion, Stowe said, was US preparing, building a network of rescue points, creating safe zones, making sure we could reach anyone who needed help. Within hours, not days, the council members looked at each other, their earlier fear replaced by understanding what they had mistaken for invasion preparations had been a massive rescue infrastructure built in secret by a species whose harsh world had taught them the true meaning of survival. And now Director Brown asked, now Stone smiled, we don't have to hide anymore. We can work together. You have knowledge we need about species we've never met, cultures we need to understand, and we have something you need, the ability to operate in conditions you can't handle. Thompson brought up one final image, a new ship design combining council technology with human engineering. This is our proposal, she said. Joint rescue fleets, your knowledge, our strength, because the galaxy is full of dangers and we're very, very good at handling dangerous situations. The Great Hall fell quiet as the council members studied the images, the refugees, the human crew members working tirelessly to keep everyone safe and comfortable perhaps. Director Brown said, finally, we were wrong about death, worlds. Perhaps they don't create monsters, they create protectors, Stone. Looked out over the hall at humans and aliens working together at 1,000 different species, learning that their greatest fear had become their greatest hope. That's the thing about coming from a deadly world, he said softly. It teaches you that the real strength isn't in surviving, it's in making sure everyone else survives too. 1 year after the Great Evacuation, Earth's atmosphere buzzed with activity. Alien ships of all sizes moved through carefully marked lanes in the sky, their hulls modified with human technology to withstand the planet's harsh conditions. In the newly built Galactic Emergency Response Center, Commander Stone watched as another class of mixed species graduated from rescue training. Humans worked alongside. Aliens teaching them how to operate in extreme conditions. Looking good, aren't they? Captain Thompson said as she joined him at the observation window below. A crystalline being successfully operated, a heavy rescue mech, its movements perfect, despite Earth's crushing gravity, better than we hoped. Stone agreed. Director Brown said the council never imagined their people could adapt to these conditions. The training facility sprawled across what used to be the Australian outback, different zones. Simulated very IOU's extreme environments from Arctic storms to volcanic heat. Each zone helped prepare rescue teams for any disaster they might face. Latest report from the refugee colonies, Thompson said, handing him a tablet. The environmental systems are working perfectly. 3 new cities established, all using Earth-based survival technology. Stone smiled as he read the numbers. Millions of refugees once homeless, after their stars died, now live safely in new homes. Human engineers had helped them build cities that could survive anywhere using lessons learned from Earth's harshest places. A quiet alarm sounded, and both commanders turned to the main screen. A new emergency signal flashed, a mining accident in a distant system without. Hesitation, humans and aliens moved together, boarding their ships with Practi EAS Rescue Fleet 7. You are cleared for launch, Sane announced over the comm. He watched as the ships rose into the sky, their crews no longer divided by fear or distrust. In the council chamber, now relocated to a reinforced building in Geneva, Director Brown led a different kind of meeting. The hologram showed a new map of the galaxy marked with hundreds of rescue stations. The network is growing faster than we predicted. He said to the assembled delegates, what humans call impossible conditions are becoming route operations for our joint teams. A gas-formed delegate floated forward. My people once feared to leave our home clouds. Now we help in liquid water rescues. The humans showed us how to adapt, how to be stronger beyond Earth's atmosphere. The massive form of humanity's pride hung in orbit. The new flagship combined the best of human and council technology. Its hull could withstand any environment. Its systems could support any form of life. And its crew represented every spacefaring species on its bridge. Human and alien officers worked side by side. They monitored the galaxy for signs of danger, ready to launch rescue operations anywhere they were needed. Emergency alert from Sector 12 called out Officer West Asteroid Cluster. Approaching the colony world, the ship's captain, a former council scientist who had overcome his fear of Earth's gravity, gave the order launch rescue team standard. Protocol. The Pride's crews moved with smooth efficiency, their movements showing none of the fear that had once divided their species. In the ship's massive hangars, rescue vehicles prepared for launch, each one a testament to how far they had come. Back on Earth Stone, and Thompson watched the Pride's teams deploy around them, more alien students trained in Earth's gravity, learning to be stronger than they ever thought possible. Remember when they called us Deathworlders? Thompson asked with a smile. Now they call us teachers. Stone replied. He looked out over the facility where beings from 1,000 worlds learned not just to survive, but to thrive in conditions they once feared. A year ago, the galaxy had trembled at news of the Deathworlder fleet. They had expected conquest, but found salvation. They had feared Earth's harsh conditions, but discovered strength they never knew they had. In the end, humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy wasn't their technology or their strength. It was the lesson Earth had taught them that the deadliest worlds could produce the most dedicated protectors, that the harshest conditions could forge the strongest allies, and that true strength lay not in surviving alone, but in helping others. Survive with you as another rescue ship rose into the sky, its human and alien crew working as one stone smile. The Deathworlders have changed the galaxy forever, not through fear, but through hope. Not through conquest, but through protection. One rescue at a time, one life at a time, until the very word Deathworld had come to me, not a place of fear, but a place where heroes were born.